you reached Kalisha. I don't really listen to my voicemail because if I know I missed a call from you, well, I'll just call you back. So leave something for my 2030 time capsule. At the beat. Hey, Leisha. This is yourself calling, reminding you of your Cali dreams, the nightmares of your daydreams. So here for a quick reference hook for your journaling, remember you don't have to care how you're remembered by people that you won't remember and that don't need to be remembered. The story itself is more valuable than any possession because God is in you and in your center, and He teaches us lessons because no one is above the heavens. Even though weak vessels will try to express that in expressions, the accounting sheets will be the reckon. Enjoy the sessions. Like my beat, it's made by me. Like my beat, let's compete. Like my beat, U.F.C. Like my beat, it's made by me.
Oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Hey, did you hear about the fight tonight?
Nah, what's the fight?
It's a U.F.C. fight on the penthouse floor.
When's the fight?
Now, I'm about to go get my friend, and then we're gonna be up there. You gonna go?
I guess I'll check it out. You said, kid.
Who is we? I need a pronoun. I need a word that can function by itself as a noun, a phrase that refers to either to the participants in the disclosure or to someone or something mentioned elsewhere in the disclosure. A third person pronoun by which an individual wishes to be referred to in order to indicate their gender identity. I need an example like I, you, he, she, they, him, her, us, them, and we. But please clarify again, who is we? Because you and I, we don't create unity. You like my beat? Let's compete. Like U.F.C. It's made by me. I made it. It's all me. Cause ain't no we. Ain't no we without me. You saw we. I saw me. I wanted you, but needed me. 786 is my LE. The only thing I wanted to hear from you is crickets. Cause I'm the circuit. This is my circus. Kinda hope you feel nervous. Kinda hope you feel like you get in service. So you hear me? Not us. Cause ain't no we. That ain't French. This ain't we. Broken branches. Family tree. Little civilian. Sipping tea. But not out the mug on the top shelf. Even though you know it belonged to me, you can say it belonged to you, but you know in reality it belonged to me. But that's the only way you're responsible for me, 'cause there's no we without me. A semicolon. It's a noun. It's a punctuation mark indicating a pause, typically between two main clauses, that is more pronounced than indicated by a comma. A semicolon is most commonly used to link two independent clauses that are closely related. In thought, when a semicolon is used to join two or more ideas in a sentence, those ideas are then given equal position or rank. A semicolon can replace a period if the writer wishes to narrow the gap between two closely linked sentences. Seems like a butt plug and an asshole.
Trusting in God's plan, it takes a lot of practice. It really does. Sitting in your own life and allowing God to direct your path, it takes a lot of practice. I've been practicing it for quite some time now. This is the first year of my life, 66, that I've done this well with it. And I tell you what changed my mind. I was online and a video came over and it said, you get on an airplane and you don't know the pilot. You get over there, you relax, you fall asleep. You get in an Uber or a taxi cab, you don't know the driver. But yet and still, you lay back there, you relax, you look out the window, you enjoy the ride. You get on a train, you don't know the conductor, let you sit still, you read your newspaper, you go over your apps, and you ride. Why won't you do that when it comes to God? Why don't you let him pilot your plane, drive your Uber, direct your path in your car, drive you through the train of life? Why won't you let God do that? I'll tell you what. Because this is your life, and God made us as the only creatures who has the power of decision. And in this power of decision, you can make choices, and you get to pick. And it's kind of self-explanatory that you think that you know the best pick for you. And you get in there with your own calculations about how you think your life should go. And you start making decisions based on that. I cannot tell you how many plans of mine God allowed to be ruined for me to later find out the only reason he allowed them to be ruined was so I wouldn't ruin my life. Y'all, it is the best way to live because it frees you up from worry. One of the biggest things about your life that causes you so much pressure and anxiety is trying to figure out the next move. Figure out what you should do and trying to make the decision based off the information that you have. But now listen to this. You are worrying yourself about a decision based on the information that you have about your future. You have no information about your future. Do you understand that? We don't have information about our future. We just don't. But we're using that we don't know, which causes anxiety. Anxiety comes from having to try to make a decision based on information you don't have. You got anxiety about tomorrow. Well, you know why you have anxiety? Because you ain't got no information about tomorrow. You know why you have an anxiety over what this person gonna say? Because you have no control over what this person gonna say. You have an anxiety over a test you got to take tomorrow because you don't know the questions on the test. When you don't have information and you're trying to make decisions based on the information that you have and you don't have the information, here comes anxiety. I don't know how they're going to feel about me tomorrow. That's what causes anxiety when you're a performer. You don't know what the audience is going to be like. So you're a little worried because you don't know. You've never met them. You never had this audience. And they may have bought a ticket, but you don't know these people. Listen to me, man. I know it's difficult to let go and let God. But if you can start just practicing it, just start practicing. I had to make conscious decisions to start practicing it better this year. What it did for me was, it freed me up from a lot of unnecessary worry because I finally got it. Y'all, it took me 66 years, but I finally got it. I have nothing to do with tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to shape out. I don't know how all the circumstances going to play. Now, you as a person, quite naturally, you try to make decisions today that will affect your tomorrow. Like, for example, you would study for a test that you would have so you could be what you would call prepared, right? I'm willing to work hard on my dreams and visions for tomorrow in case tomorrow get here. But as we've all learned over the years, every tomorrow has a set of surprises none of us expect. How many times has tomorrow gone exactly the way you planned? Exactly the way you saw it. You can't control tomorrow. Give it to God. Let God have tomorrow. The Lord's Prayer has a clause in it that's very clear. Give us this day our daily bread. It don't say nothing about tomorrow. Because you were built for 24-hour intervals. That's what you're built for. Give it over to God. Let God handle it and take the worry off your plate. It will reduce your anxiety 100%. But you got to start practicing. Just start practicing. Stop worrying about tomorrow because there's nothing.
Headquarters. It's a noun. It's a premises occupied by a military commander and the commander's staff. The place or building servicing as the manager's and administrative center of an organization. The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. Your dad taught you how to spy. My dad taught me how to listen for wiretaps.
I'm fortunate I no longer need to protect my parents' thinking caps. I don't have to choose RIP mommy and daddy, dog tags to body bags. And the relation to the headquarters you had was related to being handicapped. I get it. I would want to relate to the real if I was the second round of a spy turned cap.
The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. Your dad taught you how to spy. My dad taught me how to listen for wiretaps.
Cap is not short for captain either. Cause if you really was a commander of my ship, you would've let me mourn my mother's death with the leisure. You were never responsible for me. I pull up my own bootstraps, saw through your burlap, and realize you're really just meager.
The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. Your dad taught you how to spy. My dad taught me how to listen for wiretaps.
The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. How was the reality of you sending me trash? And your threat was you sending it all back. My investment was too strong, while the support you had was blackmail and entrapment. I don't know about you, but that's where I'm at. You lied from the jump, nigga. I got all the character witnesses you heard me talk about to prove that. Like you don't want to deal with me. Well, that's what you told Aunt Pat.
The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. Your dad taught you how to spy. My dad taught me how to listen for wiretaps.
You really do emotionally abuse your wife. She said that. She said she stayed because at least you don't hit her. And that's enlightenment for your ass. Will that bring any of my photo albums back? How about my mother's urn? How the fuck you feel it was right to keep that? Do you really think I didn't take pictures of my mama's house before I left? Yeah, I'm stating all the facts.
The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. Your dad taught you how to spy. My dad taught me how to listen for wiretaps.
The only headquarters you got is a map of quarters you kept. Just a leftover bottle of Hennessy you left. Did you ever find my mother's strap? I regret the moment I told you where her jewelry was at. Thought you had good intentions, especially when your wife told my mom's caregiver she was saving it for my ass. Do ride a ride in my mom's car with a handicap tag?
The only headquarters you seem to have is my quarters of maps. Your dad taught you how to spy. My dad taught me how to listen for wiretaps. How much is the 50-state quarter collection worth? $12.50. Most often, the face value.
Chair. It's a noun. The first definition: a separate seat for one person, typically with a back and 4 legs. 2. The person in charge of a meeting or of an organization. It's also a verb. 1. Act as a chairperson or presides over an organization, meeting, or public event. 2. Carry someone aloft in a chair or in a sitting position to celebrate a victory.
How dare you keep my chair?
You weren't supposed to get nothing.
I was supposed to get 2 items that are rare, and you couldn't even bear.
Oh, I kept those because I know they meant something.
How dare you keep my chair?
You need to take accountability for something.
Are you still spinning in circles in my mom's wheelchair? Mad at yourself cause you like how sexy I'm becoming.
I don't care.
Yes, you do, and that's why I don't have it.
Is there anything you collect besides information on what's important to be kept? At the end of it all, you had the nerve to ask what happens next. Well, let's shuffle the cards, and here's some scissors so you can cut the deck.
How dare you keep my chair?
You weren't supposed to get nothing.
I was supposed to get 2 items that are rare, and you couldn't even bear.
Oh, I kept those because I know they meant something.
How dare you keep my chair?
You need to take accountability for something.
Are you still spinning in circles in my mom's wheelchair? Mad at yourself, cause you like how sexy I'm becoming.
I don't care.
Yes, you do, and that's why I don't have
Is there
it.
anything you want besides the spirit? I gave you the chorus, but you burnt the bridge. So at least I can keep the lyrics. All the things you kept from my mom, I hope you kept your promise to go see the pyramids.
How dare you keep my chair?
You weren't supposed to get nothing.
I was supposed to get 2 items that are rare, and you couldn't even bear.
Oh, I kept those because I know they meant something.
How dare you keep my chair?
You need to take accountability for something.
Are you still spinning in circles in my mom's wheelchair? Mad at yourself, cause you like how sexy I'm becoming.
I don't care.
Yes, you do, and that's why I don't have it.
Gotta keep your secrets, cause I don't speak. But you know what I study. But you won't never know what I think. Here's a solo toast of Hennessy to you, little buddy, since that's what you think I drink.
How dare you keep my chair?
You weren't supposed to get nothing.
I was supposed to get 2 items that are rare, and you couldn't even bear.
Oh, I kept those because I know they meant something.
How dare you keep my chair?
You need to take accountability for something.
Are you still spinning in circles in my mom's wheelchair? Mad at yourself, cause you like how sexy I'm becoming.
I don't care.
Yes, you do, and that's why I don't have it. Now I understand why she said it was a burden. But I guess I could only prove that on a 3-way call, which you seem to like. Or we can have it recorded.
Burden, burden, burden. Sometimes end in murder. Burden, burden, burden. God knows the verdict. Burden, burden, burden. Frauds behind the curtain. Burden, burden, burden. Sometimes ends in murder.
Burden. It's a noun. The first definition, it's a load. It's typically a heavy one. The second definition, it's the main theme or the gist of a speech, book, or argument.
Burden, burden, burden. Sometimes end in murder. Burden, burden, burden. God knows the verdict. Burden, burden, burden. Frauds behind the curtain. Burden, burden, burden. Sometimes ends in murder.
The only mind game that nigga playing is really being insane. I picked up the title to my car. I was told the estate did the same. I hope it made you feel great. But just let you know, when you think you ahead of the game, you're really late. Trying to take from me in silence just redefined your name. I called up my therapist and she said it wasn't recalling the blank. She said, some people are just evil and death is the only way. Karma is an eye for an eye, but I just want to keep my peaceful pace because demons want me to pull up and introduce my rage.
Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder.
To the black crazy women who be gassing up their sons, the sons that belong to men who don't even wanna give a fuck. Dear Leona Taylor, when a boy says he doesn't want you to make him a father, believe him, even if you want to be a mother. Cause if the love wasn't there in the beginning, it really will never show up in the end. You'll end up with resentment for a boy that only tried to coordinate you on celebrations, not to be the charming prince.
Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder.
Dear Miss Oprah, do you interview cobras? Dear Dr. Phil, you have any suggestions for a snapped woman that's trying not to kill? Dear Jerry Springer, rest in peace. Thanks for teaching. Just to give middle fingers to all the bitch fathers that don't want to accept responsibility for some reason, and they're still full of greed.
Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder.
Why you so obsessed with me? Cause I'm that woman that your bitch just couldn't be? Why so serious? Bands make me furious. My daughter is the only reason I don't pull up to your house and pull you by the scalp. It's obvious that you need the unedited verses of how to take trash out. The writing was on the wall. Hieroglyphics are worth way more than your clout. God knows all your whereabouts. California address is up for sale now. Does hoarding depression make you proud? For you to claim on a call of 3 that there is no we, you are rather obsessed with me. I bet you play with yourself to the thought of me. Lord knows you shouldn't spread no STDs. All I wanted was my baby pictures and some dishes, but that nigga tried to take my car. Taking greed way too far. Now I'm taking him to court. I want this nigga done. Someone get a fork.
Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 sometimes end in murder. Burden, 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 God knows the verdict. Burden, 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 frauds behind the curtain. Burden, 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 sometimes ends in murder.
Red rum, red rum.
It's like living at Fort Knox. I'm gonna call my gangsters. I'm gonna call my disciples. I'm gonna call my gangsters. I'm gonna call my disciples. I'm gonna call my gangsters. I'm gonna call my disciples. I'm gonna call my gangsters. I'm gonna call my disciples. I'm gonna call my gangsters. I'm gonna call my disciples. I'm gonna call my gangsters. I'm gonna call my disciples. At least he doesn't hit me, though. At least he doesn't hit me.
Last night about this case and their theory and how it didn't make any sense and how it didn't fit and how something is wrong. It occurred to me how they were going to come here and stand up here and tell you how O.J. Simpson was going to disguise himself. He was going to put on a knit cap and some dark clothes, and he was going to get in his white Bronco and this recognizable person and go over and kill his wife. That's what they want you to believe. That's how silly their argument is. And I said to myself, maybe I can demonstrate this graphically. Let me show you something. This is a knit cap. I'm going to put this knit cap on. And you've been seeing me for a year. If I put this knit cap on, who am I? I'm still Johnny Cochran with a knit cap. And if you look at O.J. Simpson over there, and he has a rather large head, O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Greetings. Do you wish to become famous and wealthy and powerful? Be part of this elite organization called Brotherhood, filled with world leaders, businessmen, artists, footballers, and etc. Reach the peak of your career as well as been giving $500,000 as your monthly benefit and also be given a new house and car of your choice. Reply me by saying yes.
You had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Dear Miss Fort Knox, how did it feel to use white privilege on my mom's caregiver? Dear Miss Fort Knox, did you use the inspiration from my mom's cookbooks so you don't have to eat crow for dinner? Dear Miss Fort Knox, how can you explain to your son that you're not getting hit makes you a winner? Dear Miss Fort Knox, mother to mother, you're dishonorably discharged as an ideal mother figure.
It reminded me that there was testimony early on that Detective Lang had refused basically to pick up a knit cap inside the Brown residence. It was shown to him, I think, by some of the lawyers and one of the investigators on that date, because he's a fairly common. They don't really disguise anybody who's noticeable, do they? And although I was the guinea pig here this afternoon, if you were to put a knit cap on, how's that going to disguise you? We've been together. I know your face anywhere now, and you know mine. And the people in Brentwood, in West Los Angeles, would know O.J. Simpson. They know his car. They know him. That's where he lives. Even the prosecutors say he's so famous that he can't go anywhere where he wouldn't be recognized.
Dear Miss Fort Knox, how you living? That's rhetorical, because if you ain't take your therapist's advice that was given, I'm sure you're still miserable. Dear Miss Fort Knox, do you wear my mom's jewelry like it's yours? Do you eat off my mom's dishes like it's yours? Do you use my mom's silverware like it's yours? Do you admire my mom's quarter collection? Oh, that was mine. Do you think you'll be the first to use my mom's urn? Do you sit at the kitchen table that you said was mine? Was it your idea to film me dancing in my mom's house? Did you give my mom's savings bonds to your daughter? Does she still have my wall art in her room? Miss Fort Knox, how's it like to sleep with a monster that you influence? Put on a shelf, pedestal, and back up ideas that are forever gonna haunt you.
They attach his name to a lawsuit. He says he was touched inappropriately and that coaches knew about the hazing. Listen.
No young teenager should have to bear what we did as freshman students. We were conditioned to believe that this behavior was normal, which was sickening and unacceptable. To all the young athletes out there, I urge you to stand up. Stand up for yourself, even when the odds are against you.
The second suit comes from a former women's volleyball player identified only as Jane Doe. She claims she was hazed so badly she needed medical attention and then faced retaliation when she reported it. NBC's Maura Barrett is following this story from from Chicago. Let's start with the sort of football team and Lloyd Yates. Talk about the allegations here and the way that the school is responding.
So what's so special about Fort Knox? Fort Knox, home of Armor and Cavalry, has served as a U.S. military reservation since 1918. During this time, it has played a key role in the development of military tactics, doctrine, and equipment, and has been an integral part of training establishments for both the active Army and Reserve components. And why is Fort Knox so guarded? Well, the extensive security is not simple for decoration. Fort Knox still serves its original purpose, holds roughly 147.3 million ounces of gold, which is just over half of the U.S. Treasury's stored bullion.
The sweater who asked all the obvious questions. Now, here to tell us about his astounding product for making cupcakes, all the way from Cheshire, England, please welcome me! Hello! Now, hello! I'm so excited! Do you love making cupcakes but hate all the hard cupcake work? I know I do. Don't forget everything you know about making cupcakes and say hello to the amazing Cupcakeinator. I'm so excited! Cupcake or what? Cupcakeinator! This amazing device can instantly make cupcakes out of anything that you have in the kitchen. Wait a minute, did you say anything? Anything. Anything. Yes, anything. 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 I'll get you, and I'll look like a bloody accident. Anything. Now, let's see. Take off the lid.
I hope she doesn't hate me.
It seems Russian President Vladimir Putin may have gotten his revenge. This video posted online showing a corporate jet plummeting from the sky and slamming into a field outside Moscow. The plane's registration number matches an aircraft linked to Yevgeny Prigozhin, and Russian aviation authorities say Prigozhin, a man Putin blasted as a traitor, was listed as a passenger on the aircraft, which disappeared from flight radar. President Biden saying he was not surprised, but cannot confirm Prigozhin's.
You know what? No small.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild, with the wood tip,
No small.
someone's trying to assassinate me. Someone with a highly skilled grip with amazing stealth, virtually invisible to their victims, especially the ones that ride on their guilt trip.
Is highly suspicious. The aircraft suddenly dropped like a stone, a possible indication it was shot down or that a bomb exploded on board. The timing is suspicious too, coming 2 months to the day after Prigozhin, the leader of the mercenary Wagner group, launched a mutiny against the Kremlin, leading a column of his fighters to Moscow and threatening Putin's grip on power.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild, with the wood tip, someone's trying to assassinate me. I think it's the villain in my script. Someone's trying to shoot me with emotional assault in the clip.
Making matters worse for Putin, Prigozhin was shown surrounded by cheering Russians. Prigozhin had been driven by rage.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, do you know what a traitor is? Someone who betrays a friend, country, or principle based on the trust that is built in.
Mutiny, he accused Russia's top generals of denying his mercenaries ammunition they needed to fight in Ukraine. He said the generals were jealous of Wagner's military successes. Prigozhin was last seen just days ago, apparently in Africa. Wagner has a base in the poor Central African Republic, and as we reported, props up the government in exchange for diamonds and gold.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, do you have a buried body somewhere? Are you trying to kill your kids?
You don't fucking know.
After the uprising, Putin pardoned Prigozhin, offering him a deal to live in exile in Belarus. But many suspected it was not a genuine offer, and that Putin was waiting for the right time to settle the score.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, someone's trying to assassinate me. They're trying to do it on a three-way call to entrap me.
Richard Engel joins us tonight from Lisbon. So, Richard, you know, every Russia expert that is talking about this breaking news is saying this was expected. But Putin recently has appeared more in public, meeting with children, shaking hands. I mean, almost acting like a typical politician. What does this incident, if it is a coordinated killing of Prigozhin, suggest about how he wants to be perceived, at least in Russia?
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, do you know what a wellness call is? I promise it's not a setup. I promise it's not a setup. It's where officers pull up to residents to believe they're in danger after checked on by loved ones and neighbors.
So this was the mutiny. Let's start with the mutiny, because everything began with the mutiny. Was a huge embarrassment.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, I think you're smoking. It's making you lose a reality grip. California weed has a tendency to take you on that type of trip.
And then after the mutiny ended, with Prigozhin leaving voluntarily, he stopped his march toward Moscow. He wasn't turned around by Russian troops. He had this vague deal with Vladimir Putin in which he'd go off and live in exile and potentially continue his Africa operations.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, what did you say? Don't ever embarrass me like that again. You are the embarrassment that causes confusion and shame. It's easy to follow digital footprints where the estate is used to be entitled to prevent fraudulent documents.
And people were skeptical about this. How could he get pardoned? How could Putin allow someone to get away with this?
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, I see now why you can never take my music serious. Since you call my work bullshit, giving me insults when I deserve compliments. You're right, I can't sing. So I'm just reading what I write, since you know I can write the hell out of my pen.
To challenge him, embarrass him, really humiliate him.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, someone's trying to assassinate me. And I don't think you need to ask why someone would want to kill me again.
And many thought, okay, Putin is just biding his tongue.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip,
he's allowing Prigozhin to live.
I think you suffer from identity crisis.
Despite this uprising, because he wanted to have enough time to figure out who else was involved.
Because I don't know who you with.
Other co-conspirators in the mutiny.
What did you say? The mere personality split?
And he wanted to figure out the Africa operations, because you don't want to kill the guy who's running this very valuable network for himself and for Russia until you understand how that network operates and can continue to keep it going.
Like raw or war.
And then now, as you say, with that caution, if this is what it
seems to be that this was a hit against Prigozhin.
9 or 6.
Could have only come from the highest levels of the Russian government, that the time was right to settle the scores, that he had done enough to purge the military and root out the co-conspirators and figured out the Africa operations, and then Prigozhin was no longer useful.
Stones or sticks?
Well, there's nothing, everything about this crash is suspicious. The timing, 2 months to the day since the uprising, the way that the aircraft went down, that 30 minutes into the flight at about 28,000 feet, suddenly the aircraft plummets to the ground in an uncontrolled manner, suggesting that it was either blown up or because of a bomb on board, or shot down from the ground by a missile. It didn't fall naturally. It didn't glide. It didn't look like an engine was on fire. It was just in a catastrophic free fall, like a stone falling from the sky. And because it had only taken off from Moscow half an hour before it crashed, it was full of fuel, and then once it hit the ground, burst into flames, an unsurvivable crash, and a crash that is...
You said you were dead to me, and you weren't the one trying to assassinate me.
Very suspicious from every point of view.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, the only body I buried was my mom.
You don't want no smile.
Crematory box.
No smile.
Since you kept her. Really? What the hell you gonna do with it?
I would suspect it was a bomb, and it was timed to go off roughly when it did. And let's face it, this is the most unsurprising ending to the saga of Yevgeny Prigozhin we could imagine. It kind of reads like the final pages of a John le Carré spy novel, but anybody who has paid any attention to Vladimir Putin knew this was going to happen. I think I told Chuck Todd a couple of months ago on Meet the Press that Prigozhin is essentially a dead man walking.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild with the wood tip, I guess you buried yourself in all the dirt you made me dig.
It's going to be 2 or 3 months. He'll take him out. I think what's 2 points to be made here to sort of say, well, what does it all mean?
You don't want no smoke, and I don't want no lip.
One, this is good news for the Ukrainians, good news for the West, because Prigozhin was talented. His fighters were the best of the Russian armed forces. Taking him off the chessboard takes a piece that Putin, in a better day for Putin, would have been able to use, but he no longer could. So score 1 for the Ukrainians and the West. And number 2, the interesting thing.
But here you were, Mr. Black and Mild. Fuck you.
Okay, who takes over the Wagner Group? We don't know yet.
Fuck you.
Look at somebody like Victor Bout.
Fuck you and your wood tip.
The mercenary that was traded for Brittany Griner a couple of months ago has the talents, has the international connection. Someone will step up and lead this group. It's too valuable for Putin to simply let it disappear.
Dear Mr. Black and Mild.
I think it strengthens him simply because there was a moment of kind of shakiness. You could hear it in Putin's voice as those troops were literally marching toward Moscow. And by the way, interesting point here, we are also hearing about the final disgrace of the commander of the Russian Air Forces, Suryovkin, who disappeared about a month ago. I think Prigozhin was waiting for the Russian Air Force, never showed up. Point being, it was a moment where Putin's weaknesses were revealed, Tom. And as it turns out, he overcame that moment. He met that moment, if you will. Now he's killed the man who brought it forward. I think, unfortunately, it strengthens Putin's hand inside Russia.
Admiral, briefly, if you can, it is somewhat strange. You talk about this man being a talented military leader. He led the Wagner Group. He knew Putin very well. Why would he get on an airplane? Why would he even go back to Russia? It almost doesn't make sense.
With the wood tip, someone's trying to assassinate me.
I think that human nature likes to believe that it has gotten by the worst. And I think Prigozhin, obviously incorrectly, felt he had gotten by a real immediate punishment. You also have to feel some level of sympathy for the 9 people who stepped onto that airplane with him. Talk about collateral damage. I would guess Prigozhin thought he was in the clear. Putin deceived him, as he does so often. That was the end for Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Assassin.
Dear Mr. Black Mouth,
You know
with
what?
the wood tip.
Show the wreckage of the corporate jet that crashed Wednesday outside Moscow. U.S. officials believe this was likely no accident, but the assassination of Yevgeny Prigozhin, payback for daring to challenge Russian President Putin's grip on power in a short-lived mutiny 2 months ago. What exactly happened to the plane seen in this video falling out of the sky remains a mystery. Tonight, 2 U.S. officials tell NBC News intelligence gathered so far points to sabotage. One official saying a leading theory is that an explosive was placed on board, although they can't say with certainty. The Pentagon says there's no indication the jet was hit by a surface-to-air missile, while many suspect Putin ordered the hit. Today, he said Russian investigators need time to learn all the facts. He offered his warm condolences, describing Prigozhin as a talented businessman, but who also made serious mistakes in his life. Witnesses describe hearing an explosion and seeing the aircraft break apart. A wing flew off, this man says.
To knock the wing off the airplane that's a really large explosion.
You don't want no
The assassin is not you.
no smoke.
What has happened. We have to stay together, he said.
Assassin.
I guess it's me.
Cyberborg.
Damn.
Wagner fighters say they will continue to operate. The Russian military and intelligence services have already begun to take over the group. Lester?
Richard Engel, thank you. In Southern California, authorities say a former police officer left a deadly trail at a popular biker bar. Now investigators say his wife appears to have been the target. Here's Miguel Almaguer.
According to Joel Norris, there are 6 phases of serial killer cycles. Number 1, the aura phase, where the killer begins to lose grip on reality. Number 2, the trolling phase, when the killer searches for a victim. Number 3, the wooing stage, where the killer lures the victim. Number 4, the capture phase, where the victim is entrapped. Number 5, the murder or totem phase, which is the emotional high for the killer. And finally, number 6, the depression phase, which occurs after the killing. But welcome to level 7, the shadow box phase.
And yet there's all of this information. People have no idea what's really real and what life is. And at the end of the day, it has no bearing on me or my kid. He'll never read anywhere that I said anything negative about his father. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. He's not going to see that, because at the end of the day, he needs to know that, like, he did come from love, you know, and that's he needs to figure out who that person is for himself. My opinion of him is irrelevant, because whoever he was with me is not who he's going to be with him, and that's, like, you know, it's childish.
The totem phase. After murder and other actions, in this phase, the killer experiences a huge decline. He kind of wakes up from his fantasy. In fact, these ups and downs are said to be the key of driving force for the killer to develop a ritual. At this point, the reception of souvenirs from the victim is common. He is likely to sink into depression, which is why some serial killers develop a ritual to preserve their fantasy. They may collect their victims' possessions, such as clothes, and save news clippings about their crimes. Some serial killers cut off their victims' body parts to preserve and or consume them. Shadow box. A shadow box is a shallow, rectangular frame fronted with a glass panel. It's used to show and at the same time protect items on display as paintings, coins, or jewelry. Do you keep my baby pictures safe in a shadow box or a cardboard box? Do you keep my mom's jewelry safe in a lockbox? Thanks for the Bible scriptures. I'm sure I would not have got them if I said God actually meant a lot. Do you eat off my mom's dishes with her recipe books? Did you at least frame Nana's diploma after you locked me out of my chest, or did you just think I wouldn't take a look? Did you at least hang my mom's kimono? That was preserved in a shadow box already. Or is it your favorite totem in your garage? Or is it the skeleton key to the generational secretary? Just to let you know, that was the easiest to replace due to old age.
How do you frame your hate? Is it in a shadow box for display? Or do you hide it in shame while fantasizing, chanting my name? You said your prayer for me, or was that just something else you claimed in your rituals of your totem faith? How do you frame my hate? Put it in a shadow box.
Did you really order the title to my car so you have a collection of 10? Do you really pay a lawyer for war you started to win? Did you really preserve our history on a stolen land? Do you still puff with Huff and pretend to be his friend? Do you even play my mom's records, especially the last 3, in the bag with the receipt that I told you? They came from me. She hugged me and said thanks. She told me then she'd never see me again. Your wife said her kitchen table was mine. I think about that last time I ate at my mom's table. Every now and again.
Shadow box. How do you frame your hate? Is it in a shadow box for display? Or do you hide it in shame while fantasizing, chanting my name? You said your prayer for me, or was that just something else you claimed in your rituals of your totem faith? How do you frame my hate? How do you frame your hate? Is it in a shadow box for display? Or do you hide it in shame while fantasizing, chanting my name? You said your prayer for me, or was that just something else you claimed in your rituals of your totem faith? How do you frame my hate?
Did you cash in those savings bonds? Or I should say, did you pawn? Or did you put them in an account for my daughter? I'm sure that was another lie you spawned. You didn't even give me the $500 back I gave you when you made the offer. Did you believe I missed you after I called you a monster? You said I could get my things out of storage when I could afford it. Nothing was wrong because I realized then you were never my sponsor. Did you feel anything when my mom died, or were you really pretending not to be excited? In the process, hoping I didn't hate you for taking everything. You sounded really crazy, treated me so awful, really a social stalker. You're also discharged dishonorably.
How do you frame your hate? Is it in a shadow box for display? Or do you hide it in shame while fantasizing, chanting my name? You said you'll pray for me, or was that just something else you claimed in your rituals of your totem phase? How do you frame my hate?
Okay, George Solis for us once again on Manhunt tonight. We also have breaking news late today out of LA. Danny Masterson, one of the former stars of That 70s Show, sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for raping two women more than 2 decades ago at his Hollywood Hills home. Masterson hit with a staggering sentence 4 months after he was convicted on 2 of the 3 rape counts he faced at his retrial. For more on this, Dana Griffin joins us now from outside that courthouse live in Los Angeles. Dana, what more do we know about why this sentencing was handed down?
Yeah, Tom, it was likely handed down because of the decades of pain that these victims say were inflicted on them because of these crimes. You know, we heard the judge actually admonish Masterson today. She said, quote, "Mr. Masterson, you are not the victim here." We also heard some very impactful witness statements from 2 of the women. Remember, Masterson was facing 3 counts at one point. He was convicted on 2. One woman said in her statement that when you raped me, you stole from me. That is what rape is, a theft of the spirit. Another victim said that you are pathetic, disturbed, and completely violent. The world is better off with you in prison. Now, according to Masterson, who has denied these rape allegations for years now, he did not say anything when that sentence was read. He didn't show any emotion. He's facing 30 years to life in prison. He is eligible for parole. We actually asked the prosecutor here outside of court when we spoke with him momentarily, how soon could he get out? And he mentioned that there's some sort of elder clause because, again, 30 years from now, Masterson is 46, 47 right now. He could be in his 60s, 70s by the time he's even eligible for parole, and that could likely be the thing that sets him free sooner than the 30 years, Tom.
And then, Dana, is he already starting to serve this sentence, or does that come later in the calendar?
It's unclear if that comes later in the calendar. I can tell you that his attorney says the jury got this wrong. They are planning to appeal. She says they've had lawyers going through the transcripts and they found so many inconsistencies according to this attorney, and she thinks that he was wrongly convicted. She says that he did not rape these women, and they are looking forward to his conviction being overturned. How soon they'll be back in court, that remains to be seen, but we'll be watching for sure. Tom?
I don't ever wanna see you again. See you again. See you again. See you again. I don't ever wanna see you again. See you again.
Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson delivering a powerful message on this 60th anniversary.
Armed with our history, well prepared by our past, and secure in the knowledge of what we have been through and where we're headed, we will triumph in the valiant struggle to promote constitutional values and to obtain freedom and justice for all. A message of hope and healing.
What would you?
86. It's often used in food and drink services to indicate that an item is no longer available or that a customer should be ejected. Beyond this context, it is generally used with the meaning to get rid of something or someone.
Just can't die. We got to get up and keep on moving. Chanel Jones, NBC News, Birmingham, Alabama.
What do you mean? I've been on my own. Either are you're on your own. Or what do you mean? You're a mark and you're on your own. You're a mark and you're on your own. The 86 in me, always known. You're the biggest influence in my life. And I ain't fat girl no more. I always been solo, dolo. I always been a little loco. I've always been on my own. Ain't no different now that I'm grown. I'm just more comfortable being alone, 'cause I don't have to worry about someone acting like they support my backbone. When in a crisis, it's a bad time to be a chaperone and then whisper on the phone, that's what happened to you? Trying to talk music while I'm on hydrocodone. You're a mark and you're on your own. You're a mark and you're on your own. The 86 in me, always known. You're the biggest influence in my life. And I ain't fat girl no more. You try to 86 me. You try to take my offspring, but not really, not legally, just metaphorically, just enough to make me feel like I should believe in something. I'm already 86, limited edition. I don't even know how you feel comfortable texting me. I'm not your family, since that's what you told me. I'm 86, no longer available. You saw my first video. I'm not breakable. You know my spirit animal. I'm not tameable. I built something for us, 'cause I was fully capable. Why you thinking you that nigga? All of us know it's debatable. I'm 86. I'm irreplaceable. Why your tactics are traceable. I'm 86, blowing up my own inflatable. Minus the 7, 'cause you're erasable. You're a mark and you're on your own. You're a mark and you're on your own. The 86 in me, always known. You're the biggest influence in my life. And I ain't fat girl no more. I'm 86, no longer available. You saw my first video. I'm not breakable. You know my spirit animal. I'm not tameable. I built something for us, 'cause I was fully capable. Why you thinking you that nigga? All of us know it's debatable. I'm 86. I'm irreplaceable. Why your tactics are traceable. I'm 86, blowing up my own inflatable. Minus the 7, 'cause you're erasable.
So the people here have the longest healthy life expectancy in the world. And it occurs to us that you're a perfect example of that. You're 93 years old and you're still the surgery, you still do calligraphy. How do you explain this incredible vitality?
I never expected, and I never expect I can live until today. I enjoy that work. I treat the patient, then I feel the joy.
So what are we going to do here?
Check the blood pressure.
All right.
Very good.
Oh, good. What am I?
12280. This is very standard.
Good.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to live to 100, what advice would you give me?
We have to work hard. Listen, honest.
Work hard, be honest.
And then most important, humble. Humble is not easy.
I heard you're a good tennis player.
Like that's, I feel like when people say I just went to hell and back, they time travel. Because where else would you go?
You're on your own.
You came back to Earth.
What do you mean? I've been on my own. Fuck? Do you know what fuck means? It means hurt. You want to hurt me? Yes. I mean, no. Yes. I mean, no. Yes. I mean, no. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Yes. Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? I mean, no. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? I mean, no. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? Yes. Quickie. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? I mean, no. Is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you do to me? Peacefully? I mean, is that what you do to me? In your sleep? Is that what you do to me? In your dreams? Is that what you quickie? I mean, no. I mean. Tick tock, 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 tick tock.
ADHD, it really requires a professional, and it's through a process of elimination. So other things that can mask is having attention deficit disorder or ADHD are symptoms like depression, sleep deprivation, stress. Certain features of PTSD can also masquerade as having an attention deficit disorder. So it's really important that we don't self-diagnose on TikTok, especially because there are no laws really when it comes to spreading misinformation in TikTok. And that's why we need to be really educated when it comes to our own mental health and getting the proper treatment and not jumping to conclusions.
Doctor, I want to ask you finally about a new report from the Virginia Commonwealth University. It's sort of changing our idea of where aggression comes from. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so there are many different types of aggression. And what this study suggested is that not all aggression is impulsive or due to not having control. So there's highly reactive aggression. We might feel this during road rage, right? We're very angry and we want to let other people around us know that we're angry as we attempt to protect ourselves. And then there's planned aggression, where we're really thinking about, the intention is different, where we're thinking about, let's say, revenge or bullying. There's more of a sadistic component to this kind of aggression. So there are lots of different kinds of aggression, and it's good to be aware of it.
Just like those kinds we showed you in those fun stock images. Yeah. That's kind of the car. All right, Dr. Robbie Ludwig, we covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, Eli Lilly's Alzheimer's.
Tick tock, tick tock, wake up, alarm clock, tick tock, tick tock. Don't forget to buy some stocks. Tick tock, that's how they found me. The narcissist by default. Tick tock. You said I'd make it before you, but you really do anything to stop that. Not realizing what I can make, or should I say, I produced that. I'm just expressing myself, or am I screaming for help? Ask me again if the dog is dead. Yes. Okay, I'll be up in a second. But you never cared to ask how I felt. Tick tock, wake up, alarm clock, tick tock. Don't forget to buy some stocks. Tick tock, that's how they found me. The narcissist by default. Tick tock. You said my ex is gonna get the clout he don't deserve. When you the one trying to hold on to my coattails, didn't I give you enough clothes to preserve? You see, I was the one supporting you. How you thought you support me? How you have a nerve? Tick tock, wake up, alarm clock, tick tock. Don't forget to buy some stocks. Tick tock, that's how they found me. The narcissist by default. Tick tock. You said you'll be gone by 50. Do you promise? 'Cause you said we can split up my mom's stuff when you're gone. I'll be 42. Tick tock. The countdown already begun. That's 7 years from now.
That math ain't
ironic? By then, the pills that were hard to swallow will be in my stomach. Tick tock, wake up, alarm clock, tick tock. Don't forget to buy some stocks. Tick tock, that's how they found me. The narcissist by default. Tick tock.
Those are all things that can factor in. But I would also say the final thing is you are who you're, you are kind of a combination of the average people around you. So the healthier people are around you and the more you can motivate each other, the more likely you are to attack that list of 8.
When you saw this list, like honest response, what was your honest reaction?
My honest response was, thank you for telling me for the 10,000th time all the things I need to do.
Right, exactly.
I need to understand how to start eating healthy. How do I eat more plant-based diets when I have 10 minutes to make food? And so that's why I think of what's the one thing I can start. One thing everybody can do is 5 minutes or even 1 minute of exercise. Not high impact exercise, 1 minute.
Of something.
And start
Moving your
something.
body. Yeah.
And do that for at least 3 to 4 weeks. It becomes a habit. Then tackle habit number 2. Dr. Thank you. That's a great pep talk. I'm motivated now. I'm going to make myself a plant-based dinner tonight. That's right. Thank you so much, Dr. Patel. Appreciate it. So tonight's original now with in-depth reporting on a topic we've been watching. And tonight it's truth in advertising, so to speak, and how that applies to influencers. We expect some degree of honesty from advertisers, right? Federal law says that ads have to be truthful. But what about influencers online? Do they have to be truthful? After all, some of them have as much reach as like big ad agencies. There's one travel influencer, allegedly the first woman to visit every sovereign country, who is now at the center of a lawsuit about the truth behind what she says she did. NBC News correspondent Noah Pransky is unpacking this story for us.
There's a good chance you come across a travel post or two in your social media feed, but how do you know everything you see is legit?
This story is about a journey documented by a travel influencer, the drama-filled lawsuit that followed it, and even how the Guinness Book of World Records has been dragged into it.
This looks so good.
Cassie DePeckle says she spent 18 months traveling to more than 190 sovereign countries around the world, and by 2017, she had proclaimed herself the first woman to visit them all.
I became the first woman on record to travel every country.
She leveraged the achievement into a successful influencer brand. She authored a book, launched a fitness app, was even recognized twice by the Guinness Book of World Records, plus a whole lot of TV and media.
Yeah, I just decided I wanted to travel to every country in the world, but do so for a purpose.
The only problem, as one watchdog saw it, Cassie wasn't the first woman to visit every sovereign country.
There are a lot of social media influencers on Instagram, on TikTok, who are making a fortune promoting brands and products and services. People need to be doing that fairly.
That's Lauren Wolf. She's with Travelers United, a nonprofit that advocates on consumer issues. And she says they found at least 2 other women who documented the milestone before Cassie. Travelers United also took exception with Cassie's posts touting that she had been accepted to fly to space. And they didn't believe that she was following the law with her enthusiastic endorsements either. The Federal Trade Commission requires disclosure if a sponsorship is paid. So they put all these accusations in a lawsuit and sued Cassie for deceiving the press, her corporate clients, and the American public.
We need to know when something is an advertisement and when it's not an advertisement.
But the filing of the lawsuit was just the beginning of the drama.
I'm here in Ushuaia, Argentina.
DePeckle declined NBC's interview requests, but her attorney told us they deny all of the material claims in the lawsuit. And they've argued in court filings, among other things, that previous 192 or 193 countries, and that Cassie's the first on record to visit 196.
For what it's worth, the United Nations countries, the U.S. State Department's 195.
Then there was the back and forth battle over edits to DePeckle's Wikipedia page, leading to the banning of one anonymous account friendly to DePeckle. Court filings also revealed the Guinness Book of World telling DePeckle to stop embellishing her accomplishments. DePeckle, the nonprofit, has unfairly targeted his clients, threatened her business partners, and damaged her influencer brand with a malicious
monitoring these lawsuits. We would love for the FTC or the attorneys general to take these issues on themselves.
The FTC tells big companies mislead consumers on social media, and in just the last few weeks, they've proposed new regulations that would outlaw fake reviews or the buying of
that, the FTC doesn't have enough staff.
Which is how we find ourselves with so much turbulence between this jet setter and the
Noah Pransky is joining us now. It's not news that people exaggerate online, right? So talk about when you're having this conversation with these intent about sticking to the letter of the law here.
Well, they say that exaggeration where it happens is not a victimless offense. They say it impacts intentionally or unintentionally trust influencers to influence their decisions. And it's also unfair to other influencers who play by the rules because they're honest, or if they're showing more disclosures and their competitors are not. Now, the FTC tells me they basically agree with that. They just have so few resources, they have to deploy them strategically.
If you look at wherever these influencers are, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or TikTok, whatever, do they have any responsibility? And like, what is their incentive to try to crack down on any deception from influencers on their sites?
So legally speaking, Section 230 says they're basically not responsible for what people post on their sites. However, I did talk to a number of them, and they say they are doing things to try and encourage better behavior. TikTok tells me that they have added new tools for disclosure, easier disclosures, and that they do tell their people online, their content creators, they are responsible for kind of following the rules. Meta also tells me that when it comes to the issue of specifically being honest, truth in advertising from an influencer, they say there's no way for them to tell, really, to vet these claims. They do vet people's identities. They want to make sure that people are who they say they are. But they say neither can we nor really should we be responsible for vetting every claim that someone makes online. That could be a whole can of worms.
Can of worms for sure. Noah Pransky, interesting stuff. Thank you very much.
Sure
that does it for us for this hour. We've got more coverage picking up right now.
Jesus Christ, why is this trip so long? Damn it, girl. 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 Said I'm back. I said I'm back. I said I'm back. I said I'm back. Why you doing me like that? 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 The holistic way. Really goes all the way back. All the way back. Back in time, I just don't remember. Back in the time, probably was a preteen. Back in the time. I said I'd be back. 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 And you ain't let me go. In the first fucking place. In the first fucking place. Why you ain't let me go? In the first goddamn place. It was gonna be like that.
Forcing much of the park and many popular rides to temporarily shut down. Florida Fish and Wildlife says it was able to safely capture the bear, a female, and will release her in a national forest. Coming up, the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune, where warnings ignored for years and serious health problems hidden, what a former general says in our NBC News investigation. Now to our NBC News investigation. Federal health officials say up to 1 million people may have been exposed to toxic water at North Carolina's Camp Lejeune over decades. Under a law passed last year, more than 90,000 have filed claims. But as Cynthia McFadden reports, for the youngest victims, justice has been hard to find.
It's known as Baby Heaven, across the street from North Carolina's massive marine base, Camp Lejeune. Records indicate hundreds of babies are buried here, many in unmarked graves, and an untold number of them with one thing in common.
Oh, baby girl.
The daughter of Jerry Kozabarich was one of them, buried here 54 years ago.
We think of you every day, and I wish you were here. I love you, sweetie.
In 1969, she was a young bride, 8 months pregnant, with a husband about to deploy to Vietnam.
The doctor said your baby is dead, and it's not my fault.
Looking back now, she says there were warning signs. The first came at a reception for officers' wives.
I saw a woman who was even more pregnant than I was. And I said, "When are you due?" And she looked at me, she said, "My baby's dead." And she turned her back. It turned out all the wives in the squadron, they all had either birth defects or they lost their babies.
What was going on? The federal government now acknowledges that between 1953 and 1987, some of the water wells at Camp Lejeune were contaminated with known carcinogens detected at toxic levels, up to 280 times the safe level for humans.
The barracks water was brown and it had an awful odor.
In 1980, after 3 miscarriages, Crystal Dickens lost another baby at 6 months pregnant. Were the doctors at the time on the base, were they understanding and compassionate?
No, they were not. Your baby's dead. We're going to take it.
Crystal?
Yes, they don't care.
She now has renal failure, one of the 15 serious conditions the U.S. government recognizes as linked to the contaminants. The CDC now says babies exposed in the womb are up to 4 times more likely to develop serious birth defects, which can lead to death.
When we poison the water, we poison ourselves.
Environmental activist Erin Brockovich told us that as women came forward telling of multiple miscarriages and babies who died in the womb, a pattern began to emerge.
Those voices weren't being heard.
So NBC News interviewed 24 women who lived at Camp Lejeune and brought some of them together. Most now sick themselves. Each of them lost babies.
Why you keep lying? Why you keep stalling?
Documents show that officials at Camp Lejeune were warned about the toxic water at least 4 years before doing anything about it, including at the base hospital, where all the women were treated and the highest levels of contamination were found. Last year, Congress passed the Camp Lejeune Justice Act, which allows those exposed to file for damages. For years, even after the wells were shut, the possible health effects were hidden or minimized, including in this pamphlet produced by the Marines 3 decades after the initial discovery, which sparked a congressional inquiry. Was there a continuing cover-up? General Gray Payne, then at the Pentagon, was called to testify.
I don't think we were factually wrong in the brochure.
He says he no longer stands by its contents. In the booklet it says, each and every well that was affected was immediately shut down. That's page 3. Well, we know that wasn't true.
That's correct.
But General, with true respect, his book shines it all up pretty to try to make what went wrong look better than it was.
I think that it understated, in many cases, the situation. I did not know that was not the case in 2010. And I can tell you that the commandant did not know, because we had been briefed over and over that those were the facts, or we never would have published that. Absolutely.
What you're saying really is even worse. They were lying to the general at the Pentagon about what the facts on the ground were? That's pretty damning.
It is.
Brockovich argues the lack of transparency by the Marine Corps is sadly common.
Every single time, for 30 years I've seen this over and over again. It's a secret. It's a cover-up. It's the lie that becomes the silent killer.
The Navy says they remain committed to addressing all claims. Cynthia McFadden, NBC News, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
You like my beat? Let's compete. Like U.F.C. It's made by me. I made it. It's all me. Cause ain't no we. Ain't no me without me. You saw we. I saw me.
I wanted you, but needed me. 786 is my ME. The only thing I wanted to hear from you.
Cause I'm the circus. This is my circus. Kinda hope you feel
nervous. Kinda hope you feel.
So you hear me? Nada. Cause we that ain't French. This ain't we. Broken branches, family tree.
broken branches.
Little civilian, sipping tea, but not out the mug on the top shelf. Even though you know it belonged to me.
You can say it belongs to you, but you know reality. It belongs to me. It belongs to me.
But that's the only way. You're responsible for me. Cause there's no we without me. I knew you didn't care when I called Care Credit. Think you clever. 3,000 on the debt. Can't buy clever. You just have to be quick to understand, learn and devise or apply ideas. I don't think I'm smarter than you, but I do know I'm intelligent. I can determine what situation needs what requirement based on many experiences. Bands aren't that different. I recognize the spirit. I hear it, talk to it, create it. It was called Care Credit for a reason. I promised my mom I only use it for the dentist, and you wouldn't even let me take care of it. But clever. I'm clever. But if I was smart, I would have used all of it.
Care credit, can't buy clever. 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 Care credit, care credit, can't buy clever. Care credit, can't buy clever. Care credit, can't buy clever.
Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated match in the history of professional wrestling for the heavyweight championship of the world. Are you ready? Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen,